The NFL owners meetings officially kick off this week, and we already got some things coming out of some of those meetings. Cleveland Browns owner already admitting that they swung big and missed on Deshaun Watson. The tush push ban is gaining some steam. And then they still waiting on Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. Plus, we got a little bit more to talk about on today's episode. Y'all know I'm going to get right to it, but obviously, you got to hear the music first.
Welcome to your number one spot for all NFL news and content, NFL Central.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back into another episode of NFL Central, your number one spot for everything NFL. I'm your host here, Bobby. So if you're tuning in with me today, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well. Kicking it off and keeping these episodes going every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But it looks like it's going to be a busy week. So you can expect a lot more videos coming from NFL Central this week, leading up and getting closer to the NFL draft. But hey, let's kick things off, starting off with the Cleveland Browns admitting that they swung and absolutely missed on the Deshaun Watson trade. CEO and owner Jimmy Haslam of the Cleveland Browns called the trade for Deshaun Watson a swing and missed. And what was a crazy admission. I couldn't believe it because I've been calling him like, hey, man, y'all got to do something about this whole situation because ever since he's been in the Cleveland Browns uniform, it has been disappointment after disappointment after disappointment, even going as far as saying that I seen the team more excited to cheer for Jameis Winston and Joe Flacco. After you go and get a guy like Deshaun Watson, who a lot of people thought was going to be a hell of a move for the Cleveland Browns after they departed ways with Baker Mayfield. However, again, disappointment after disappointment after disappointment, and the expectations going into this season is that Deshaun Watson can miss a significant portion of this upcoming season because after rupturing that Achilles during the season, he had a setback and ruptured it again in January of this year. So are you really surprised? Look, I wish the man nothing but the best and hope that he can get healthy and somehow revitalize his career. But I live in reality and I just don't see it happening. And I hope that I'm proven wrong because I want to see guys that are very, very talented like a Deshaun Watson be able to show his talent on the field. But it's not up to me. It's up to that player. But Jimmy Haslam had a quote, and he said this: we took a big swing and missed with Deshaun. We thought we had the quarterback. We didn't, and we gave up a lot of draft picks to get him. So we've got to dig ourselves out of that hole. It was an entire organization decision, and it ends with D and I. So hold us accountable, end quote. Not mad at that. I think the first part of, if you was looking at the Cleveland Browns for the last few seasons, they were in that denial phase. Now they're coming into that admission phase. Now, how do you clean yourself of that funk, of that dirt, of that gunk, of that must? You got to wash yourself off and you got to start to move a little bit more strategically. Hence why, if you've been following the show for the last few weeks, it's me and Steve-O, we've been really adamant on pretty much saying, look, with the number 2 pick in this draft, I understand Abdul Carter is a monster, but you have to strongly consider a quarterback like Shedeur Sanders to come out here and put more pressure on the quarterbacks that's currently in the quarterback room. You got Deshaun Watson, you got yourself Kenny Pickett, but that's not really enough because even if you tried out Deshaun Watson out there again, let's say he comes back sometime this season and Kenny Pickett is, holding it down for most of the part, you know what I'm saying? What else after that? How do you get back, or how do you give yourself a chance to have sustained success? It's not going to be with Kenny Pickett. And then quite frankly, with you, it's not looking like Deshaun Watson is ever going to return. So if you are the Cleveland Browns, you have to strongly consider a quarterback like a Shedeur Sanders. And I'm not saying you absolutely have to go out there and get yourself a Shedeur Sanders. Hell, you could possibly look at some other teams, pick up a phone call, maybe trade back a few spots and take a Jackson Dart. I'm not saying I don't personally believe Jackson Dart is better than Shador Sanders, but if that's what your evaluation tell you, why not go out there and recoup a couple picks and then go out there and get the guy that you seen could potentially fit the mold best for you and be coached well under a hell of a head coach in Kevin Stefanski in my evaluation of looking at him as a head coach, two-time head coach of the year and a hell of a head coach. You seen what he was able to do with guys like a Joe Flacco and Jameis Winston. Now, it wasn't crazy success, but you've seen some success with those quarterbacks. Now, Jameis Winston, he's trying to pray himself out of pick sixes. That's not Kevin Stefanski's fault. Kevin Stefanski placed really good game plans in the hands of a Jameis Winston, and he just couldn't get it done. If we keeping it a buck with you, we thought it was, you know what I'm saying, his eyes. He went and got the LASIK surgery. But it's just his tendency. He gonna go out there, he gonna compete, he gonna make some hell of a throws during the game. But when it get tight, you can anticipate a pick six coming. That is not Kevin Stefanski's fault. He's not the one out there throwing the football to other teams. But I would say this, Jimmy Haslam, this is the first step. Me personally, you're not getting no kudos out of this. I'm not going to say good job. I'm not going to say, yeah, the boy, there we go. No, I'm going to say this is a good first step. But I'm not going to sit up here and pound the table and jump up and down because for the sake of the Cleveland Browns fans, I know y'all look at Baker Mayfield and be like, damn, Baker Mayfield, the last time we really had a chance in the playoffs was with Baker Mayfield. We said to hell with Baker Mayfield, got Deshaun Watson. It's been a little shaky ever since. And you look at Baker Mayfield down in Tampa, he's been in the playoffs since he's been there. Don't you think the Cleveland Brown fans will absolutely love something like that? Absolutely. So good first step, but you still got a lot of work to do, Jimmy. You still got a lot of work to do. And I'm with you. You swung and you missed. But now it's time to pivot in another direction if you're asking me. Now, we move on to the next topic of today's episode. The tush push is starting to gain some traction. Originally, you know how I stand with it. My stance is this. I can't be mad at a team that's going out there and trying to give themselves an advantage over the other team, and they're executing it well. If you want to go out there and then it's a copycat league, go practice the play yourself. That's your prerogative. But if we being objective here and we evaluating it from both sides, I do understand the pushback from the opposing sides. Like it was one of our guys here that follow the show all the time and comment and let us know the enemy how he feels about the tush push. Busy Rand. He's like, man, I'm not a fan of it. This is not, I don't think it's necessarily a good football play. And he has his reasons. I'm not saying he's completely wrong. I'm just saying I disagree with it. And that's the problem. A lot of people think that when you disagree with somebody, you just completely don't understand them. I have my points. Other people has their points. I understand their plight behind it. It's just that I say, if I have the advantage, try to stop me. And I know it's two different type of plays, but I look at it as if you're giving me Marshawn Lynch, Derrick Henry, 4th and 1, or 3rd and 1. You can't stop it. We gonna keep running it until you stop it. It's the same thing right here. You know what I'm saying? It is a little bit different. The octaves are a little bit different. Things are happening on the line a lot differently. You know what I mean? And just because one team practices it a little bit more, or executes it better than the opposing team, we fought them for that. That's just my position on it. But I totally understand the other side of it saying like, hey, we don't necessarily like it. There are players pushing the quarterback over that 1 yard line. There are things happening. I think there can be player safety concerns with it. And I'm 100%, I understand it. I don't agree with it, but I understand it to the point. You know what I mean? But you did have other head coaches around the league who spoke up about it with some open-mindedness regarding the tush push. And after the Green Bay Packers put it out there, which I think they soft as hell anyway, maybe that's just me being biased because my team is in the NFC North. You see all the Chicago stuff, so you already know who my team is. But speaking objectively, again, I understand the other side of it. But you had some coaches speak out. One of the coaches that spoke out was Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin, saying that he was going to be open-minded about it. Fair enough. That's where I'm at with it. Like I said, don't necessarily have to agree with the other side, but I'm trying to gather more information to understand why people want it banned. Because I say if the team is executing it well, figure out a way how to stop it. Because you know when it's coming. Instead of putting a 310-pound defensive tackle in there, how about you get you a 400-pound defensive tackle? I don't know how many defensive 400-pounders is around the NFL, but damn, go pick one up and when have them on the practice squad just practicing. And when you go play the Philadelphia Eagles, they say, hey, this week, tush push practice, big fella. You might be up in there because we know we gonna need you. But hey, I know it is what it is. But you had coaches like Andy Reid from the Kansas City Chiefs and Sean McDermott from the Buffalo Bills also come out and they talked about the player safety aspect of it. Now, people are pushing back towards the player safety aspect of the whole pushback to the rule or to the play simply because there's really not a substantial amount of data that's currently backing the safety aspect of it. Now, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some research done. There's going to be some type of information that's presented to those teams that are in support of it and that are against it that lets us know, hey, this is not really as safe as we think it is, or hey, this is not as dangerous of a play as we think it is. And I think that information is necessary to all of us who are on either side of the discussion when it comes to banning or keeping the tush push. Me personally, if you want to go out there and pick up the four, if you want to pick up the 4-for-1, and you the Jacksonville Jaguars and you practice it, you the Indianapolis Colts and practice it, nothing is prohibiting you from practicing the play. It's just that some teams just don't do it. But if everybody comes in an agreement and say, hey, this is not a safe play, we believe it's a bit unfair, and everybody votes for it and the majority votes for it, I ain't gonna lie to you. I won't necessarily like it, but I will understand it and support it because majority will rule on it and they gonna ban it anyway. So I say it's a very, very interesting topic that's going to continue. Whether you are in favor of the play or not, let's try to figure out how we can come to an understanding of why or why not the play will still be here or why it will be removed. I think it's a great conversation to have, especially for those people like me who have played football, who watches a lot of football, and who has watched rugby because this is like a rugby style type of scrum. I've watched rugby live, supported friends and family that have played rugby live, and seen like, hey, these guys are really battling for possession of the ball. And I will say that with the way that the Eagles have been so successful at it, I don't normally see that type of balance or um that type of we'll just say that type of play with the touch push favor a team more so than the other at that type of rate, because I think they're executing at like a 80 something percent type rate. At least that's what I've been seeing a little bit. But when you watch rugby live, things can go either way, and I don't think teams are necessarily winning at an 80% rate unless you just absolutely dominating the other team. But it's interesting, so just keep an open mind on it. You don't necessarily have to agree with it or disagree with it, but let's try to come in the middle to understand why some people are for it, why some people are against it. And it doesn't have to be a back and forth shouting match on why or why not. It should still be in the league. Let's just wait until the new information comes about. Let's see what the end result will be. And then we live with the decision and just continue to be good football fans and see what happens moving forward. So that's an interesting one. Another thing that came out is that Aaron Glenn from the New York Jets believes that Justin Fields is ready for a breakout season. He went on to say this: Justin Fields, I'm going to start the quote, he has a quiet confidence about himself. He really can throw the deep ball really, really well. Obviously, his legs are something that's dynamic, not just in college, but the NFL as well. I just think he's ready to break out as a top-notch quarterback. So he's going to do everything he can to be one of the better ones, and we're going to coach our asses off to make sure he does a good job out there. End quote. Look, y'all, if you're a New York Jet fan watching right here, right now, you are talking to a Chicago Bear fan who watched Justin Fields' entire tenure in Chicago, and I will give you this. There will be moments to where you like, damn, Justin, throw the ball. Why you ain't throw the ball, bro? But there will be moments to where that deep ball going down the field is on the money. There will be moments to where a play completely breaks down and that man is able to make chicken salad out of chicken-ish with his ability when it comes to running with the football in his hands. He's not the perfect quarterback, but he is an exciting quarterback. And I'm not going to sit here and act like he was just 100% terrible. I will keep it a buck. The Chicago Bears, they didn't set him up for success right away and did not give him the infrastructure that was necessary to allow him to be a successful head coach. A successful quarterback for the Chicago Bears. We did not properly align a good offensive line for him. We did not properly give him a good offensive coaching staff for him. Didn't necessarily have to be head coach, but you needed good offensive minds to help mold this type of quarterback. We did not give him the necessary weapons throughout his tenure to be successful. He did have his moments. He did have some chances. It's not 100% on the organization of the Chicago Bears. It's not 100% on Justin Fields. But you are getting a guy who is a guy that can galvanize people and galvanize and bring excitement to a city with his type of play, with his play style. I don't know what he's going to do for New York. I don't know how well his career is going to go since he, you know what I'm saying, now that he's in New York. But I do know he's going to work off. He's going to work his tail off. But the organization has to give him a good infrastructure to be successful as well. I don't sniff or scoff or just dismiss 4-2 in Pittsburgh. I think that was a good sample size for a player in Justin Fields. And I also feel he should have gotten another bite at the apple going down the stretch of the season when we seen Russell Wilson kind of teeter off after going upwards for most of the season while he was starting. When he started to decline and you wasn't too sure about to keep Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh, I strongly felt that for the last 4 games of Pittsburgh's season, they should have inserted Justin Fields in there so they can keep him on their squad instead of waiting on Aaron Rodgers. So New York Jets, if you do right by the young man, give him every ample opportunity to succeed, you will be able to have a stronger determination on what he can be for the rest of his career, more so better than what we seen with the Chicago Bears his first 4 years in this league, because in his first game with the Chicago Bears, he got his head knocked off and was sacked 9 times by the Cleveland Browns. But then on his way out, he had the Chicago Bear fans chanting, "We want Fields." So it's up to him now. And it's up to y'all in the organization in New York. It's up to Aaron Glenn and all those guys from the top down. If they do right, you don't have no other option but to leave it in his hands. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not going to shit on Justin Fields because I'm still a supporter of his. But it's now up to him and the New York Jets to figure it out. Now, one last thing before we go is that the Steelers are still waiting on Aaron Rodgers. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? No, I'm not. This is what happens when you don't, this is what happens when you don't have foresight in the way that you build your team. You go out there and trade for DK Metcalf without a quarterback. You go out there, know Russell Wilson is not the future for your team, or at least ignored the fact that he's not out there for your team, played around with Justin Fields and allowed him to go to the New York Jets, and now you're stuck in limbo simply because you're waiting on Aaron Rodgers to decide if he wants to come play for you or retire or sit there and wait on another opportunity, potentially, which is being rumored, by the way, that he wants to go to Minnesota. This is what happens. Mike Tomlin even came out and said, I had conversations with him, but we still don't know his decisions. They're still waiting on him. Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm going to say, I said it once. I say it again. I love the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. I love the history of, you know what I'm saying, black and yellow. I do. I love so many players that have came through that franchise and was able to become champions and show heart, show grit, and stuff like that. But I'm gonna say this because I said it already. After this season, once it's a huge disappointment because y'all gonna wait on Aaron Rodgers again, it's time to part ways with Mike Tomlin. That's it. The same stuff keep happening. You're steady spending all the money on the defensive side, acting as if this is the early 2000s. It's not. It's not the 90s. It's not. It's not the 80s. It's not. That's when those defense can just pretty much take over games every single game throughout the entire season and pretty much carry a mid quarterback to championships. That ain't that league no more. This ain't that league no more. You need a quarterback that's competent, that's going to be able to be a game changer, and you still need the defense to win a championship. Don't get me wrong. But when the plays need to be made, you need a competent quarterback. Has Aaron Rodgers been competent these last few seasons? Debatable, right? For me, it's not so debatable. Mid at best. Mid at best. So y'all got to get this thing over with. Look, I ain't going to say that they completely out of anything for this upcoming season. I'm not going to say that because Mike Tomlin is a hell of a coach. But if you're seeing a cycle for the 5-6 years of winning seasons and bounced out of the first round, at some point, bro, you got to pivot in another direction and maybe take 2 steps back to take 3 steps forward at some point, right? At some point, change has to come. But hey, that is it for me today from today's episode, y'all. More things are going to come out this week from the annual owners meetings. And y'all know we're going to be right here reporting that. Me and Steve-O, we're going to pick back up on some of those top draft headlines. We will have that episode dropping tomorrow for you guys to where we focus on who are we going to focus on? We are going to focus on the Jets, the Carolina Panthers, and the New Orleans Saints. So it's going to be another interesting episode talking about the top draft storylines and what teams should do or what they shouldn't do for the draft. But as long as there's stuff coming out from the NFL owners meetings, we're going to keep dropping that stuff too. The typical schedule right now is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But again, once the news start picking up, the frequency of episodes from NFL Central will pick up as well. But you will not miss your weekly dose of Monday, Wednesday, and Friday episodes as long as we right here living and breathing. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell because that fire will continue to come. We appreciate all the support that y'all been giving us lately. Make sure y'all go ahead and have a go. We're going to catch y'all on the next one for sure, man. I'm up out of here. These people was crazy. Peace out, y'all.